rush of water that caused her husband, Kit Mackenzie, to jump back in order to avoid a soaking.
"Morning,"
she said with a grin, treading water.
"Did you want me?"
Kit considered her for a moment, then began to unbutton his shirt. He stripped to his swimming trunks and dived in beside her. "Race you," he said, and set off, his front crawl slicing through the water with barely a ripple.
"Not fair!"
shouted Perdita, chasing him, gaining stroke by stroke, until they reached the end of the pool together, laughing. "You should have woken me," said Kit, as they continued their swim at a more relaxed pace.
"I didn't have the heart," she replied. "It's been such a busy few weeks, and you were fast asleep. It seemed unfair to disturb you."
"With Dad being unwell, it has been quite stressful," he admitted. "Although I bumped into Mum on the way down here, and she told me she's booked an emergency dentist's appointment for him. She's already enlisted help in case he needs to be manhandled into the car and driven there." Perdita laughed. Kit's father, Alistair Mackenzie, was in charge of running everything behind the scenes at Marquis House, and was the bravest man she had ever met, except, it seemed, in the face of visiting the dentist when he was suffering from toothache.
"At last," she said. "He's been in agony for weeks."
"We all have our weaknesses," said Kit with a wink. "I think the only reason he's agreed to go is because Mum gave him an ultimatum last night. She threatened to go back to Andorra without him. He daren't refuse, but Mum has asked if we can have our weekly catch-up an hour earlier. She doesn't want Dad to have any excuse to wriggle out of his appointment."
"Of course," said Perdita. "Let me do a few more lengths, then I'll head back."
Kit kissed her, then hauled himself out of the pool. "I'm going to grab some breakfast," he said. "See you later." He disappeared into the changing rooms while Perdita ducked under the water again, waving as Kit left the grotto a few minutes later. After 20 lengths of the pool, she swam towards the wide circular end, a design feature her twin sister Piper had suggested, creating a lagoon in the shallower end of the swimming pool. It was bathed in twinkling early morning sunshine, and, laying back in the water, she admired the shimmering pinpricks of light on the walls as the sun rose on the spring day. The quartz in the stonework caught the natural sparks of light reflected in the tiny fragments of mirror scattered throughout the exquisite mural of mermaids that flowed around the walls. The grotto had been an unexpected discovery 3 years earlier, and since then it had been transformed from a forgotten Victorian curiosity to a space used and enjoyed by everyone within the walls of Marquis House. From the moment Perdita and Piper had uncovered the room with its mermaid-strewn walls and abandoned pool, they had been determined to bring it back to its former glory. For Piper, the reconstruction of the mural had been a labour of love, and both twins spent a great deal of time in the delicate and magical space. Aware time was ticking on, Perdita walked up the shallow steps, swathing herself in a large towel. She wondered how everyone would take her announcement at the upcoming meeting. Mentally crossing her fingers that they would understand, she hurried back to her room to change. "Next is the breakdown of the petty cash," began Alistair, and Perdita exchanged an amused glance with Kit. Having discussed this topic with him the previous evening, Perdita allowed her mind to wander as Alistair and Kit finalised the details. They were in Alistair's office. It was now 4 years since she had first sat here, listening as he explained that she and Piper had inherited Marquis House, the estate that had belonged to their estranged grandmother, the historian and philanthropist Mary Fitzroy. Alistair had explained that she and Piper were the main beneficiaries of Mary's will, and, apart from a few personal bequests, they had inherited everything: her manor house, an extensive research centre, and a vast fortune. They were now worth in excess of £300 million between them. It had taken the twins a while to come to terms with their inheritance. They could not understand why their grandmother had shunned them in life, abandoning them after their mother's death when they were 7 years old, yet had embraced them in death. Determined to unravel this mystery, Perdita had resigned from her university job and moved into Marquis.